Today we are going to learn our next lesson on Wings of Courage. Page number 14. Before I start, I would like to ask the types of Indian military. Everybody is aware it is army, then navy that fights in the sea or in the waters, and then air force. Okay. Then all these army, navy and air force have few posts given here in first exercise warming up. Just you need to divide them into three categories, three groups: army, navy and air force. See there: army, then commander, brigadier, major, colonel, lieutenant general comes in that category of army. The second one is navy: vice admiral, admiral of fleet, flying officer, rear admiral, etc. are the posts held in military. And in air force there are squadron leader, air marshal, commodore, air commodore, etc. So you might have understood that we today are going to learn something about our military, and here we are concerned about air force. Children, there are many people who have done extraordinary, exceptional things for the country, and especially if we talk about air force, there are just a limited number of, you can say, high rank officers who got this much importance. Yes, I am talking about Arjun Singh. This lesson is about Arjun Singh, Air Force Marshal of India. Air Force Marshal of India. He has been counted after Manekshaw and Cariappa. Only two army generals honored with the rank of Field Marshal before Arjun Singh. Let us read about Arjun Singh. Come to page number 15 and let us learn from the text. Air Force Marshal Arjun Singh, an icon of India's military history, will always be remembered as a war hero who had successfully led a young IAF during the 1965 Indo-Pak War. IAF, you know the full form of IAF is Indian Air Force. IAF. And when we talk about 1965, 10 September 1965, it is a war between India and Pakistan. And in that he played a major role. Successfully led a young IAF during the 1965 Indo-Pak War. The only officer to attain the highest post of Marshal, the Air Force equivalent to the Army's 5-star field marshal. Means in army, 5-star field marshal, and in air force, this marshal posts are equal. Singh was a fearless and exceptional pilot who had flown more than 60 different types of aircrafts. He has flown more than 60 different kinds of aircrafts. Arjun Singh has flown. Arjun Singh has flown. From this you can understand his importance and his expertise. 60 different types of aircrafts. He played a major role in transforming the IAF into one of the most potent, meaning powerful and effective, air force globally, and the fourth biggest in the world. His contribution to the Indian Air Force is monumental. The meaning of monumental is of great importance, enormous. The IAF grew with him. He was the epitome, that is the perfect example. Epitome means a perfect example of military leadership in classical sense, and it is therefore not surprising that he was honored with the rank of Air Force Marshal. Former Vice Chief of IAF Kapil Kauk said. Kapil Kauk praised him a lot because of his services, because of his extraordinary contribution. He was given that post of Air Force Marshal. Singh was honored with the rank of Marshal on the Republic Day in 2002. He was given this honor when? On Republic Day. Republic Day. He was given this honor on Republic Day, it is 26th January in 2002. In 2002. It means 18 years back from now. In 2002. San Hormuzji Framji, Jamshedji Manekshaw and K.M. Kariappa were the only two army generals honored with the rank of Field Marshal. Means before him, only two army generals were given this high rank, post of high rank of Marshal. Only he was honored with that. So only two were there before him. One is Jamshedji Manekshaw and second one is K.M. Kariappa. Okay. Two army generals honored with the rank of Field Marshal. Arjun Singh was known as a man of few words. Singh was not only a fearless pilot but also had profound knowledge about air power and applied it in a wide spectrum of areas. Singh had assiduously, meaning working hard and showing careful attention to details, led the IAF, Indian Air Force, during the 1965 war and denied success to Pakistani Air Force, though it was better equipped with American support. His most outstanding contribution was during that war, said Kauk. Let's go ahead. Commending his role. Commending means officially praising. Commending his role in the war, Y.B. Chauhan, the then defense minister, had written, Air Marshal Arjun Singh is a jewel of a person, quite efficient and firm, unexcitable but a very able leader. Just understand the importance of these words, because these words were said by the Defense Minister of India, Y.B. Chauhan. What he is saying about Arjun Singh? He is a jewel of a person, quite efficient and firm, okay, and able leader. Then in 1944, the Marshal had led a squadron against the Japanese. See, in 1965, then 1944, against Japan. Here, Indo-Pak. In 1944, the Marshal had led a squadron against the Japanese during the Arakan campaign. This campaign they called as Arakan. Arakan campaign. Flying close air support mission during the crucial Imphal campaign and later assisted the advance of the Allied forces to Yangon, formerly Rangoon. In recognition of his feat, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. For that operation 1944, he was awarded with the Distinguished Flying Cross, that is DFC, Distinguished Flying Cross. He was awarded with this award on the spot by the Supreme Allied Commander of Southeast Asia, the first Indian pilot to have received it. Singh was selected for the Empire Pilot Training Course at the Royal Air Force, that is RAF, Cranwell in 1938 when he was 19 years old. He retired from service in 1969. You can understand how long he served our country. Singh was born on April 15, 1919 in Layalpur, now Faisalabad, Pakistan, and completed his education at Montgomery, now Sahiwal, Pakistan. His first assignment on being commissioned was to fly Westland Wapiti biplane in the northwestern frontier province as a member of the number 1 RIAF squadron, Royal Indian Air Force Squadron. After a brief stint with the newly formed number 2 RIAF squadron, where the Marshal flew against the tribal forces, he later moved back to number 1 squadron as a flying officer to fly the Hawker Hurricane. He was promoted to the rank of squadron leader in 1944. In 1944, he was promoted to the rank of squadron leader. Okay. For his role in the successful leading the squadron in combat, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross DFC in 1944, as I have already mentioned. On August 15, 1947, when we become independent, he achieved the unique honor of leading a flight past of over 100 IF aircraft over the Red Fort in Delhi, which is an honor for him. I will reread that line. On August 15, 1947, he achieved the unique honor of leading a fly past. What is the meaning of fly past? A ceremonial flight of an aircraft passing over a place. Over 100 IF aircraft over the Red Fort in Delhi. After his promotion to the rank of Wing Commander, he attended the Royal Staff College at the UK. Immediately after Indian independence, he commanded Ambala in the rank of Group Captain. In 1949, he was promoted to the rank of Air Commodore and took over as Air Officer Commanding, that is AOC, of an operational command which later came to be known as Western Air Command. Singh had the distinction of having the longest tenure as AOC, that is Air Force Commanding, of an operational base, initially from 1949 to 1952 and then again from 1957 to 1961. After his promotion to the rank of Air Vice Marshal, he was appointed as the AOC in C of an operational command. Towards the end of the 1962 war, that is between India and China, he was appointed as the Deputy Chief of the Air Staff and he became the Vice Chief of the Air Staff in 1963. He was the overall commander of the Joint Air Training Exercise Shiksha, held between IF RAF, that is Royal Air Force, and RAAF, that is Royal Australian Air Force. On August 1st, 1964, in the rank of Air Marshal, the Marshal of the Air Force Ajay Singh took over reins of IAF at a time when it was still rebuilding itself and was gearing up to meet new challenges. On August 1st, 1964, in the rank of Air Marshal, the Marshal of the Air Force, Arjun Singh took over the reins of IAF at a time when it was still rebuilding itself and was gearing up to meet new challenges. Singh was the first Air Chief to keep his flying currency till his CAS rank, having flown over 60 different types of aircraft from pre-World War II, that is fought between 1939 to 1945, era biplanes to the more contemporary Gnats and Vampires. He has also flown in transport aircraft like the Super Constellation. You can see the photographs and pictures of all these aircrafts on net. If you are interested, just go and just see them. In 1965, when Pakistan launched its Operation Grand Slam with an armored thrust targeted at the vital town of Akhnoor, Singh led IAF through the war with courage, determination and professional skill. He inspired IAF to victory despite the constraints imposed on the full-scale use of Air Force combat power. Singh was awarded Padma Vibhushan. He was awarded Padma Vibhushan for his astute, that is sharp and intelligent, astute leadership of the Air Force during the war. Subsequently, in recognition of the Air Force contribution during the war, the rank of the CAS was upgraded. Ajay Singh became the first Air Chief Marshal of the Indian Force. He remained a flyer to the end of his tenure in IAF, visiting forward bases. See the meaning of CS and forward bases. See the footnotes on page number 17 to the right. CS means Chief of the Air Staff. CAS means CAS, Chief of Air Staff. Chief of Air Staff. And forward bases means a secure forward operating military position. Okay. So the rank of the CS was upgraded and Arjun Singh became the first Air Chief Marshal of the Indian Air Force. He remained a flyer to the end of his tenure in the IF, visiting forward bases and units and flying with the squadrons. He retired in August 1969. Retired in August 1969. 1969. Thereupon, accepting ambassadorship to Switzerland. After his retirement, he was given an ambassadorship to Switzerland. He was Lieutenant Governor of Delhi from December 1989. From December 1989 to December 1990. Was Lieutenant Governor of Delhi after his retirement. So he held two posts after his retirement. Number one, he was given that ambassadorship to Switzerland, and then he was Lieutenant Governor of Delhi from December 1989 to December 1990. Having been a source of inspiration to all the personnel of armed forces through the years, the government conferred the rank of the Marshal of the Air Force upon Arjun Singh in January 2002. He was given this honor of Air Force Marshal in Jan 2002. Marshal of the Air Force upon Arjun Singh in January 2002, making him the first and the only 5-star rank officer. He is known as 5-star rank officer. Five-star rank officer. I am reading this line. Making him the first and the only 5-star rank officer with Indian Air Force. Okay. So, read out the lesson once, twice, thrice at home, and you will get the information. If you want more information, you can search on net also by the name Arjun Singh, and you will get a lot of information about him. I hope you understood the lesson. Thank you very much.